Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. You're listening to another League of Legends video. This time we're going to be focusing on Gragas. Yes, Gragas of all champions. This is a game taken from one of our ranked 5 matches, 5v5 team ranked games. You can tell from the clan tags on there. We are going to be playing on the purple side on this particular game, Custom Game Superstars. We have Spreekway playing and jungling as Hecarim. We have Fallen Asylum playing as Xerath. K-Hop is playing as Gragas. I am going to be playing and supporting as Sona, and then Varus Nox is going to be playing as Ezreal. We are up against a team that features Leona, Misfortune, Nasus, Orianna, and Malphite. And it's pretty obvious what they were planning to do in this game from the setup screen. I'll go ahead and try to set up the columns down here while I talk about this. We saw early on from what they were picking what their team wanted to do. Their team obviously has this huge area of effect damage team comp. What their team wants to do is they want to have Malphite go in first. They want to have Malphite go in and initiate, and then they will follow up with a Misfortune ultimate, and they'll follow up with an Orianna ultimate, and a Leona ultimate, and then Nasus will be running around dealing his area of effect magic damage. And the idea is if they can lock up our team, then they'll just be able to initiate on us, use their area of effect damage, and burst us down. So we saw them picking these champions while we were on the picking screen. This being a ranked game, of course, it's draft pick mode. So we tried to pick a team that would be able to counter their setup. In particular, after we saw them picking all these AOE champions, we had the last pick for the game, and K-Hop was going to take the last pick. And we decided we would try to run a Gragas for the last pick as a way of trying to counter their setup. Gragas, don't see him too often. He is sort of on the fringes of the competitive scene. People that are very good at playing Gragas, you will still see him. I know that Gragas gets played occasionally by Skara in North America, for example, but the idea behind Gragas is his explosive cast, his ultimate, is something that's really good at displacing people on the enemy team. So if they are trying to lock everybody on the team up with all that area of effect damage, we will respond by using the explosive cast to disengage, break apart their formation, and try to counter what they're doing with the Malphite and the Orianna and the Misfortune ultimate. So anyway, that's the logic. The other thing going into this is we also want to try to do the lane swap. We decide we want to send AD and support to top lane. This is something that we figured would work pretty well for us. We did not want to be in a lane with, we did not want to have Sona in lane against MF Leona. This is a lane that's not likely to work too well for us. Also, by the way, Excessive, the MF player, is a diamond solo queue player. Didn't show up on the banners at the start, but that's because those banners you see are based on what people were in terms of Team 5v5 last in the previous Season 2. But anyway, yes, their MF player is a Diamond player. I think Diamond 4, Diamond 5. You guys, if you're curious, you can look it up on LoL King. But anyway, so we did not like that matchup. We decided we would do the lane swap, and we would have K-Hop sit down here in 1v2, and then we would 2v1 in top lane against their Malphite player. Again, the logic behind this is Gragas is actually one of the best champs in the game at 1v2. He is one of those champs that's really good at it. Cho'Gath is another one that comes to mind. Nasus is actually pretty decent at 1v2 if you max Spirit Fire. The idea being that you can sit back and you can farm with barrels. His barrels have good range, and he has natural sustain on his W, his Drunken Rage. I'll go through the skills in a second, but I want to kind of go through the setup for this game. And it just seemed like a matchup where we would be able to do well. We'd be able to keep them off the tower. And if they weren't expecting this, we could, maybe get an advantage by doing this. And we'd be less likely to have that bad matchup of Sona versus Leona in lane. That's not a matchup we wanted because way too easy for Sona to get engaged on and burst down by their Leona. I mean, make one mistake in positioning and that's going to be a kill because Sona is so squishy early on. Okay, so anyway, again, as I said, Gragas, very good at 1v2. That is largely due to, again, I'll highlight some of his different stuff here. His passive, Happy Hour. Whenever he casts a spell, he gets health back, 2% of his maximum health. So again, this is very useful for a lane like this, where you're just trying to sustain as long as possible. Then, that also synergizes well with this Drunken Rage, no cost, on a lengthy cooldown, but when you guzzle this down, Gragas gets back mana, and it reduces damage dealt to him. And of course, it also triggers his passive as well. So again, Gragas has good natural innate sustain, and allows him to stay in a lane and just toss out barrels and farm what he can get. By the way, if you look at the scoreboard down here, we are in fact ahead down here, 13-7. We're actually getting the better of this matchup. Now, their team also chose to do something a little bit interesting. I'll come back to Gragas in a second. It's not all that interesting watching K-Hop just farm under tower, with apologies to K-Hop. What they chose to do is they chose to bring their Nasus player up here and to have him help out in laning against Malphite. And apparently the logic, I'm guessing, is they wanted to try to keep this tower up as long as possible. So they brought Nasus up here, and this is now effectively a 2v2 lane in top. So what this will do, you do see this from the competitive professional teams as well. What this will do is this will allow them to keep their tower up in top lane. We're obviously not going to take that tower as long as Malphite is up here. As long as Nasus is up here. However, what's going on is the longer Nasus sits up here, he can keep us off that tower, but he's not farming his jungle while that's happening. And in fact, he's fallen behind Spreakaway, who is going about and clearing quickly and trying to get levels on Hecarim. If you look at the gold, Spreakaway is already 250 gold ahead, and that actually is quite a bit for this early in the game. So again, that was a decision that their team made, a very justified decision, but it did allow Spreakaway to get in a lot of farm as Hecarim, and to get ahead in that matchup, 28 to 13. Also, in terms of levels, level 5 to level 4. So he has gotten ahead. So if, sort of the big if, is if K-Hop can hold out down here, if he can keep this tower up for a longer period of time, it is at half health, so it's lost half the tower. Oh, well, that is something I should have been paying attention to. Let's go back and check this out. Yeah, see, the other thing is Nasus is not putting pressure on lanes. So anyway, here comes Spreakaway. By the way, this is warded, so they should have been more on top of this, but Spreakaway is going to charge out. There is the nice knock into the wall, then Fallen will get the stun. And let's see, Spreakaway is going to claim First Blood. And by the way, you never really want to give First Blood to Hecarim. That is just going to lead to bad things down the road. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is what you want to do is, well, what we're trying to do is we want K-Hop just to keep this tower up as long as possible. It's not even really about farm. It's more about him just staying alive, sustaining, keeping his tower up, and just trying to do that for as long as possible. And if you notice, again, he is actually winning the matchup against Malphite here in top lane. And Spreakaway going to use this time to go and do a little bit of counter jungling, steal a little of their stuff. So again, we are just content to let this run up in top lane. We've been zoning Malphite anytime that Nasus is not up here, and that's allowed us to get a bit of an edge up here. We still have not gotten much damage on the tower, granted. This tower is at full health, whereas our tower down here is at half. But we've clearly, this is clearly working well for us. We were able to claim the First Blood. We have not had any pressure on the lanes from Nasus. That's not really what Nasus does. He's not a particularly gank-heavy jungler. And look, he's back up here again now. So Nasus right back up here in lane. And again, they're going to keep us off the tower, but this is a lot of farm. He's not farming the jungle. He's not ganking lanes. We were pretty happy to see this. If they were willing to do this, we were happy to continue as things were right now, because they're not, their team's still nowhere close to getting this tower down, and K-Hop has now finally had a chance to buy. He's got the double cloth armors. I'm not actually sure what he's building that towards, but he does have quite a bit of armor, and again, he just needs more levels so he can continue to get more sustain off of his skills and just farm with those barrels. What's the name of this skill, actually? Barrel roll, okay. So yeah, just wants to be able to keep this lane going as long as possible. So anyway, we're up here. We are getting in some poke on the tower right now, and that's going to draw Nasus back up the top lane once again. Meanwhile, now we're going to get ready for a gank, so here comes Spreakaway. He is 6. He does have the ult. There goes the Onslaught of Shadows. Going to turn and go after Leona. Flash after the Leona. She will fall. Now the focus switches to MF. She does not have any mana. Has already used, there's the flash and the barrier, but out comes the exploding cask, and K-Hop will pick that off at the end. I believe he hit 6 right in the middle of that fight. Out came the ultimate, and that's a double kill in bottom lane. 1 kill for Hecarim, 1 kill for Gragas. And that went really, really well for our team. Really could not have gone much better. Meanwhile, once again, Nasus, where is he? Well, he's still sitting in top lane, and he's been keeping us off the tower, but he has not put any pressure on the other lanes. And he really has not done that good of a job of farming up here in top lane either. So we are going to want to go back soon. We want to have a chance to buy. Varus Nox is going to use Ezreal ult. We're going to jump back. We're going to go back and buy. We have not been back to base yet. And I believe that gets us enough for the BF sword onto Varus Nox's Ezreal. Let me see. He should be appearing here any second. Oh, yes. There's the BF sword and the boots. So we're even with MF. Even down here, and we have major advantages in other lanes. So again, we're still ahead in the 1v2. 32 minion kills for K-Hop, who has been handling this lane very well. Yeah, so he's still ahead of Malphite, and well, Malphite actually bought a red pot. Yeah, he's 600 gold again, but the biggest thing is the jungle. Because Nasus has spent so much time holding lanes instead of farming his jungle And because Spreakway already also has 2 kills, including First Blood, we have most of our lead is coming from the jungle matchup, where we're about 1,300 gold ahead. So that's very, very significant. And we've also put Orianna behind too. That early kill has fallen ahead in lane, and now we're ahead in that matchup as well. Okay, so what do? We swapped back after this. We decided we'd swap back, and I'm not sure that that was the best decision in retrospect, because we really were trying to avoid the matchup with MF and Leona. We didn't like that matchup in the laning phase, and you know, we probably should have continued doing what we were doing, because it was working well for us. And in fact, if you watch this lane right here, watch the double shot damage coming out from MF. It's just more damage than we can sustain through. We really do not have the edge in this matchup in lane. They're just a stronger laning matchup than the one that we have. Anyway, we were trying to set up a fight here. What we did not know was that Nasus was down here. We had it warded, but he had managed to get into that brush, so we were looking to go in. There comes the Hecarim ult, and then meanwhile, though, Nasus shows up, and that trouble Spreakway is going to take a lot of damage. Out comes the Ezreal ult. Sona ult is pretty good, but it's not going to stop Spreakway from getting blown up. And now Varus is going to need to get out, and oh, that fight just did not go well. It was turned around by the presence of Nasus, and we were lucky we were able to get me out of there, and that we only lost Spreakway. But that was not a good fight for us at all. And kind of reflected the fact that we probably made a mistake. We probably should have kept the lane swap running the way it was before, just because, you know, this lane, we don't really feel like we have an advantage. We picked Ezreal, we picked Ezreal because of his mobility. The idea was we want Ezreal's Arcane Shift to get out of a Leona ult, or to get out of an MF ult, or to dodge a Malphite ult. So that's why we picked Ezreal, but he does not have the damage to go sort of 1v1 with Misfortune in this lane. And in fact, their team is actually now going to turn and continue focusing this, and they're going to get this tower. So that's going to make the game a lot closer. They have largely caught up on the back of that play in bottom lane. They're still behind by 800 gold, but they're a lot closer than they were. So that was a big play for them. Anyway, here goes Spreakway, going to jump in, but runs right into Nasus. Was planning to gank Orianna there in mid, but instead is going to have to disengage and skedaddle out of there on little pony hooves. Anyway, so I haven't had as much time to talk about Gragas as I was hoping. I'm trying to sort of cast the action in this game as well. What Chaop has done is he has been maxing his barrel. Again, on the short cooldown, skill shot, point and click. Tosses out the barrel, can detonate it immediately, or it will explode on its own after 5 seconds. Deals quite good damage, by the way, and the AP ratio is quite high. I believe it's either 0.8 or 0.9, something like that, right around there. Very good AP ratio, very high damaging skill. Chaop is then maxing his E, his body slam next. Gragas is melee. This is his maneuverability tool. This is his mobility tool. For those who don't know, he charges forward, collides with the first enemy he hits, deals magic damage, and units hit by body slam are slowed. This is on a fairly short cooldown. It makes Gragas difficult to gank. One of the skills that sort of makes him as a champion. I already mentioned the Drunken Rage, gives him back mana and gives him a damage reduction. And then the ult, again, point and click, throws his cast to an area. Upon landing, it deals magic damage and knocks back. And the knockback is difficult to use. Gragas is not an easy champion to play. But the idea behind picking Gragas, as I said, is when they try to stack all their area of effect crowd control, we use the Gragas ult to stop that. Anyway, Hecarim ult comes out in mid, Spreakway gets the initiation, Fallen Asylum follows up with the Mage Chain stun, and then together they're easily able to burst down that Orianna player on the other team. And in fact, we have now gotten pretty far ahead in middle lane. So what we end up doing is we end up swapping back yet again. Chaop goes back to the top lane, he goes to the 1v2 lane again, and in bottom lane, we end up going into the 2v1 lane. That said, as soon as we see MF and Leona up in top lane, that's our cue to go for a dragon. We just killed their mid lane. Their AD and support are top. They have no real way to challenge this. If Nasus comes to try to smite steal, we'll just turn and engage on him. So there really was not much they could do there. And we're going to go back to this lane once again. And we thought it was a little strange that they chose to do this, because the laning matchup was working, you know, the laning matchup was actually working quite well for us. We really felt like swapping these lanes worked better for us. Defensible because they wanted to get this tower, it's understandable, but what they probably should have done was sent their AD and support to the mid lane, not the top. In mid, they still would have had pressure on Dragon, they still would have been able to come down for a Dragon fight, and the mid tower was more important to focus over this top tower next. So I would argue that that was a mistake made by them. By the way, look at that nice damage coming out. Leona, that low, is not really going to be able to put much pressure on the tower. So as long as Chaos can continue wave clearing, and oh, by the way, they're going to use Leona ult, but not sure that that was the best use of it there. Yes, Chaos is low on mana. That's the one downside. He does have enough for an explosive cask, though, so he can use his ult if need be. And we're just trying to hold things here until Spreakaway can get in here and give him a little bit of relief. We'll see how this goes. So anyway, here he comes and unfortunately misses the barrel. Again, a good barrel would have knocked them back into the tower. And that probably would have been a kill, but misses the barrel, unfortunately. No explosive cask for you, K-Hop. Not on that particular occasion. Now, meanwhile, in bottom lane, while K-Hop goes back to base, what we were doing is we were playing aggressively down here. We were trying to get this tower. This tower is quite low, only 611 health left. The danger was, oh, by the way, their team is doing the exact same thing again. Note that they once again have Nasus down here babysitting yet again. He spent a lot of this game babysitting, which, again, is a very valid strategy. Don't get me wrong. It's certainly a play that you can make. But the trade-off was that Nasus has fallen very, very far behind in farm compared to our own Hecarim jungler being played by Spreakaway. So yeah, I mean 77 to 57, but it goes further than that because Nasus has not put any gank pressure on these lanes at all. He has not been ganking lanes. Granted, that's not what Nasus really does, but he has not been ganking lanes, and their team has not really had to play scared or anything like that. Whereas Spreakaway has just been all over the map, putting pressure on lanes. He's been responsible for all 4 of our kills, 2 kills and 2 assists thus far. And again, you check out the gold total, 4,600 to 3,100. That is a big difference, 1,500 gold. He has also put our mid lane ahead. I mean, no offense to Fallen. Fallen's played well, has also played well, but it's been the Hecarim ganks that have set that up. Okay, anyway, so we'll keep an eye on what's going on there. Keep an eye on Nasus as he runs around middle lane right now. It looks like he might actually be trying to gank. Nasus kind of needs red buff and Ghost to be able to do much in the way of ganking, so we'll keep an eye on this. One thing that I wanted to do, or I'll talk about when we come down here, we had pretty good ward coverage down here. Note the pink at Dragon, and I'm going to ward here. One thing that I should have done right now is I should have gone and I should have warded either over here. Well, we managed to catch out Leona in top lane, so maybe not the best time to do that explanation. But anyway, Chaos going in. I think I want to keep an eye on this particular fight. No, they've disengaged at this point. What I should have done is I probably should have warded either here or here, because what that would do is it would give us warning of Nasus coming in down here to bottom lane, because these wards that we have right now do not see Nasus coming until right now when he uses his Ghost. Malphite initiates, and by now it's already too late. We didn't see him coming. Oh, by the way, #1 Sona ult there right now, right? Beautiful, beautiful Sona ult. It just flies way off to the top of the screen, hits nothing. Was trying to flash backwards and then use the Sona ult, but I missed badly. And anyway, Varus is just buying time, but there's not a whole lot he can do right now. That Wither is too strong. Anyway, he's going to Arcane Shift over the wall. Meanwhile, there is a great Exploding Cask in top lane. Going to hit MF. She's going to try to use her ult, but it's going to get canceled. She's going to fall. Meanwhile, in top lane, Varus is now Arcane Shifted over the wall, but Malphite flashed after him. And yeah, you can't really run away from Malphite, not with his slows. So that's going to be a kill for them in bottom lane. Anyway, so we trade 2 for 1. Their team getting 2, our team getting 1. Not really in our favor. As I was saying, what I needed to do is I needed to ward either here or here. Preferably here, but really probably needed to ward both of these spots, because that would then give us vision of Nasus incoming for a gank. See, just having a ward here and here is not enough, because we saw him coming in, we saw him right here, but by that time he just popped his Ghost and ran in. Malphite used his ultimate to initiate, and we did not have enough time to get out of that situation. We needed a ward either here or here, probably at both spots to see him coming. So that might seem like a minor detail, but that would have enabled us to get out of that situation, and we would have survived and avoided that situation. Anyway, meanwhile, Camp's going to get engaged upon in top lane. There's the Leona initiate. There is the Leona's ultimate. What is it? Her solar flare. It was misused by their Leona player. That should have been a kill. That should have killed K-Hop. But Leona misused her stun. She had a free guaranteed use of the solar flare stun. Only got the slow. Waited too long to use it, and allowed K-Hop to flash out of there. So a nice initiation, but a misplay nonetheless. Really should have been a kill, and now Spreakaway should have been a kill, and now Spreakaway is cleaning up here in top lane. In the larger game, we are ahead by about 4,000 gold. Again, most of that is in the jungle position. Most of that is on our jungler, on Spreakaway, who is getting very, very strong as Hecarim. Very strong indeed. Meanwhile, down here, we're just trying to get this tower. It is very, very low, so anyway, we're going to get the tower. And now we just want to back off. Here comes Nasus, and unfortunately, the ward has just died there. The ultimate is going to come out from Malphite, and Varus turns to run the wrong way, and then watch this. I just barely missed that Sona ult. I know that I hit Nasus, but I missed Malphite. I think we could have escaped from that if I had hit Malphite. Maybe. We would have had a shot in any case. But Ward here died just as Nasus showed up. Unfortunate timing there. Should have been up there renewing it. We were trying to get the tower and get out, but just could not quite get out. And so we are going to lose Varus Nox there. Meanwhile, in top lane, though, another beautiful casket comes out. Chaop using the Zanyas right when MF wants to burst him down. And then My Little Pony going to cut that down. Spreakway goes to 5-1-3 on the game. Meanwhile, what their team should have done was to rush Dragon because they had vision on our jungler being top. Instead, Nasus was kind of playing around trying to get our blue buff here. But it wasn't going to happen. We just were going to keep resetting it over and over again. We realized he can outsmite us, so we're just going to keep canceling it until until he goes away. Anyway, up there, Orianna tries to come in. Are they going to be able to get this kill? Here comes Malphite. Does he have his ult up? No, he does not. Going to take down Chaop right there, and Spreakway in a very bad shape. Some nice jukes, but not going to be able to escape from this one. Flash, very nice, but that Malphite slow comes out. More flashes being popped, and the Leona ult for the damage. You rarely see that, but that will get them the shutdown. However, by virtue of them sending so many people to the top side of the map, we're going to turn and make this play for Dragon. No, we don't have a smite here, but we do have 3 champions, and they do not have 3. So anyway, they're going to come in, and at this point, I'm in all kinds of trouble. I'm going to get blown up by the MF bullet time ult. Fortunately, Nasus is out of mana. By the way, look at that ult, and 3 HP on MF, but not going to fall there, amazingly. Meanwhile, Varus is, you finally see why we picked Ezreal for this game, as Varus is kiting them, using that blink backwards to disengage. So, I do fall, MF goes low, Nasus goes low, do not actually kill anyone. So, that Dragon's still sitting there, still waiting to be claimed. And the game remains quite close. 8-7 overall in kills. Our team ahead by about 3k gold. A nice lead, but nothing enormous. Meanwhile, Spreakway is now revived. He is running back down the Dragon. And it looks like we're going to have a fight on our hands here. Here comes Malphite. He's going to initiate right there, but Spreakway is going to dance in. There is the onslaught of shadows diving right onto MF, trying to pick her off. Xerath trying to run out of there. Meanwhile, Varus Nox is still getting initiated on. Is he going to fall? Let's see. He goes low, uses the barrier. He will fall. It's a 1-for-1. Both ADs down, but now the Xerath ult over the wall. So much damage coming in. That's going to pick off a double kill. Beautiful positioning by Fallen Asylum right there. And the barrel is so good by Chaop. You'd never believe that he almost never plays Gragas from watching this game. That was a tremendous barrel. And we end up going 4-for-1 in that fight. Really nice play by Spreakway, by Fallen, and Chaop by the barrel coming in at the tail end. I actually did not do very much. I still have Crescendo up, largely because I died at the start of that fight and didn't make it back until it was over. So not much in the way of Sona play there, but everyone else really, really well done. And the key thing there was, killing MF as quickly as possible. Spreakway, very, very fed right now on Hecarim, able to dive in, get that kill, and just perfect positioning from Fallen right here over the wall. Xerath ult just blew them up. And now with that Dragon and those 4 kills, we've gone from being a little bit ahead to being very comfortably ahead in this match. Now 5k gold ahead and in a very nice position. Varus Nox, the KDA looks terrible, but he actually is playing quite well. And by the way, one other little detail I'll mention. Check out the Mercury Treads. There is a reason to get Merc Treads. That is because Nasus is in the game, and the Merc Treads are to counter that Wither. Remember, Ezreal's passive does give him extra attack speed. So even though normally you wouldn't build this, very defensible choice in this particular game. Anyway, their team was pushing mid, and we realized we had an opportunity to maybe collapse on them, so we were going to look to try to do that. Meanwhile, the 1v1 in top lane between Chaop and Malphite, we'll keep an eye on that. The two of them are fighting, but we were like, you know what, we can probably engage on this. We just need a good Hecarim ult. There it is, displaces the team. Meanwhile, out comes the Sona ult, going to lock up 2 of them. MF gets off a good bullet time, but we have focused on Orianna. We've already managed to get her. Fallen will be destroyed here at the tail end of the fight, but the fight keeps going on, and Varus, going to fail that flash, but he is going to use the Arcane Shift, and Chaop using the barrel again on the Exploding Cask. Meanwhile, Excessive on MF, no way to escape a red buff. Hecarim right there. Now we're still continuing the fight. Chaop coming in will pick off, actually I will get another kill, and we will see Spreakway fall, but at the tail end of that fight, Chaop will pick up another kill, and we managed to get 3 people out of that fight. So a good initiation. Malphite came in. It was a pretty good MF ult on their part. Orianna, though, note this. Orianna never used her shockwave. We burst her down too early. That was very important in that fight. By the way, Varus did a great job of surviving that fight. Went very, very low. Was heavily focused. But, again, mention that this is why we picked Ezreal, because we knew they had a lot of dive and a lot of hard engage, and we wanted the ability for him to get out. He was down to like 100 HP, and then I think flashed over the wall, and then Arcane shifted again in order to disengage, and then was able to sit on the tail end of that fight, poking away and survive. So, looking at this again, K-Hop is actually now up to 414, and he is very far ahead of their Malphite. 8,200 gold to 7,000 gold, ahead by 1,200. Meanwhile, though, biggest difference in the game right now, in case it hasn't already become apparent, that jungle roll, 10k gold to 5.4k, just shy of 5,000 gold ahead. That is just an enormous difference, and it just starts to become very, very difficult to come back when a Hecarim is this strong, because Hecarim will just dive into the middle of the enemy team, he will pop his W, he will pop his Spirit of Dread, and he'll just be healing like crazy. So between the Hecarim ult, which displaces their team, forces them all to run around in fear, and the Gragas Barrel, the Gragas Exploding Cask, we felt like we had a good team comp to counter all of their area of effect, and I think that last team fight did a decent job of showing that. If we could keep MF from getting her ult off, MF did get off a pretty good ult in that last fight. If we can stop her from getting that off, then we'll be in really, really good shape. All we need to do is hit MF with a barrel from Gragas, or with that Hecarim ult. Either one will interrupt it, or the Sona ult too, of course. Have to make sure I don't get blown up. By the way, little note for Sona, just little note on Sona playing while we're in here. Sona's auras are extremely valuable in a team fight. Sona's aura is very valuable. You know, your Hymn of Valor, your Aria of Perseverance. You really want to try to stay alive as long as possible as Sona, just so you can keep giving your team those auras. That's actually very important. So, for instance, the Q gives everybody 20 attack damage and 20 ability power. I mean, that's pretty considerable in the fight. That's on 4 other champions, that's worth a lot of gold, 20 extra AP and 20 extra AD. So it's very important to just try to keep yourself alive as long as possible. Do the Sona face roll on the keyboard, spamming Q, spamming W, and keep yourself alive so you can keep those auras running. Little minor point, but as someone who's played a lot of Sona, it's something that bears repeating. Okay, so larger picture of this game right now. By the way, check out that barrel poke. Very, very nice poke coming out from K-Hop. Let's see how much damage it's doing right now. Yeah, 285 plus 346. Yeah, that looks like a 0.9 AP ratio, I think. Not 100% sure. Not trying to do the math while watching this video, but I think it's about 0.9. So anyway, we're getting set to fight, and oh, watch this, Fallen. Oh no, Fallen gonna get caught very badly, but he will flash out. And now they're gonna use the Malphite ult, but use it a little prematurely. In comes the Sona ult and the Hecarim ult. Out comes the Orianna ult. It's not that great. Anyway, Fallen goes low. He will fall here on the back end of this fight, but Varus Nox is kind of in the back, not being touched, and Spreakaway is doing a nice job. He has already picked off MF, the key target to go after. Now we're initiating on Orianna, and this fight has really been turned around. Again, Spreakaway is just unkillable, healing for so much. Meanwhile, now the focus on Orianna, the only one left alive. She will fall, and that is a 5-for-1 ace for our team. Yeah, I mean, that fight just got turned around. Malphite went in. He went in a little bit early, and Spreakaway and Fallen just were able to focus and burst down their MF player. And that is now going to open the way for a very safe Baron. We had the option to push mid, but we didn't really have creeps there. And if we push mid, we might be able to get the inhib, but then there's a serious risk of them reviving and doing Baron. It's actually much safer in this situation because the enemy team was aced. Remember, well, they do have a teleport. I was going to say no teleport, but they do have one teleport. However, I already had an Oracles, and we had made sure they had no vision around Baron. So, short of Malphite teleporting in on a ward that we didn't see, and then somehow managing to kill Baron, that was very safe. And so that's going to put us further ahead. And as I like to say in these videos, taking Baron not only puts you ahead, but it also removes the chance for the other team to take Baron. So that's a very big deal. Their team kind of needed to take a Baron to get back in this. We also then had the timer for Dragon, and we decided before we went back and bought, we would go and kill the Dragon, just because that's 900 gold for us, and it's not 900 gold for them. So it's worth about a little bit less than 2k gold in terms of a swing. If we back immediately, and the Baron pit, then they're just going to walk to Dragon and take that. And why give them that extra gold when we could take it? So now we have just shy of a 12k gold lead. So tons and tons of big items on everybody right now. Spreakaway, I have to click on his, or excuse me, K-Hop, now has the Death Cap. Over here has a Death Cap. Looks like he's going for an Abyssal. Still has the Zanyas as well, so that allows him to go in, play aggressively, and not get bursted down. Meanwhile, Fallen Asylum, the Death Cap. He has the Haunting Guise, the Morellonomicon. He's also going for Seeker's Arm Guard. Spreekaway, for his part, just is unkillable at this point. Locket, Spirit of the Elder Lizard, Bulwark, and Sunfire Cape. This is a terrifying Hecarim with 3,200 health and 232 armor. He's just not going to die in the team fights for a very, very long time. About the only real problem with our team is we are very heavy on magic damage. Their team has rightly picked up a Bulwark to defend against that. But outside of Nasus, there's almost no magic resist anywhere on their team. I mean, if you look at their items, Malphite, you know, despite being what you think of as sort of their frontline tank, Malphite doesn't have like any magic resist at all. He gets 92 when he's next to that Bulwark, but it was 67 before that I saw. So Malphite, not really that tanky given the large amount of magic damage that we have on our team. We're actually not doing that much in the way of physical damage. Even Ezreal, a lot of his damage is magic. Anyway, though, so we gotta be careful. Oh no, K-Hop, this video is all about you, but K-Hop is getting caught, and that's not good. Gonna use that barrel to displace them. Oops, I hit backspace. I meant to, sorry about that. Actually meant to hit the slowdown key, not the back key. Well, anyway, we'll watch it again. Let's watch K-Hop get hit again. Oh no, gets caught again. So anyway, we'll go ahead and slow this down. Go ahead and watch this key fight. So anyway, there's the barrel. It does a good job of disrupting them. Going to use the Sona ult to try and get K-Hop out of here, but he's not going to make it out. He will fall to a seismic shard, but watch this. Watch the positioning of Fallen up here. They're going to use Malphite ult, getting a little greedy here, so we're like, all right, we have to turn and fight this. Check out the positioning from Fallen right here. Spreekaway uses the Hecarim ult. Out comes the Xerath ult, and oh my goodness, that damage from the Xerath ult is just enormous. Just blowing up their team. That is going to be the key moment. We blow up their MF. Oh no, we blew up their Leona, excuse me. Then over here, people are chasing after Orianna. Malphite here. Oh, we already got MF, excuse me. We did get here. The chase is on after Malphite. We're going to claim him. And then over here, Spreekaway will pick off Orianna at the tail end of this one. So that positioning on the Xerath ult, just perfect by Fallen right here. Over the wall, we use the, the Hecarim ult to lock them up so they could not move out of the way. And then the Xerath burst just destroyed them in that fight. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to claim the inhib off of this fight. At this point, they're going to revive soon. We see no reason to push our luck. We're just going to back and give this one up. But they surrender, and that's going to be the end of this particular match. So we're going to end it with a 31-minute surrender. A good game. A really good game. Had a chance to try to talk a little bit about Gragas because I don't have much on the way of Gragas on this channel, at least not anytime recently. But I think it was a good example of some real good use of tactics by both teams. Their team had a real logic to the team composition, and I thought it was a pretty well put together team. The kind of team that you would see a professional team run, something like this. Focused mostly around using MF's bullet time ultimate. And, you know, we saw what they were doing on the picking screen, and then, you know, built accordingly with our own team comp. And I thought we did a pretty good job with that in this particular match. Still, in the end, fed Hecarim, very strong. You do not want to see a Hecarim with this many items. I believe Spreekaway is going for either the Iceborne Gauntlet or the Trinity Force at the end. Either one would make him that much more terrifying. But Nasus farmed and Nasus was babysitting lanes, and Spreekaway was ganking. And because he was successful, that was what snowballed our team ahead. Anyway, though, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been a busy week. Busy last week. Haven't had time to do much in the way of videos. But we'll see. Maybe this week will be better. Anyway, until next time, have a great week. See you again later. Take care. See you guys again soon.